It's a beautiful, what day is it? Wednesday? It's a beautiful Wednesday in Kentucky. What's going on, Kentucky? William Brislin here with the Food Connection at the University of Kentucky. I'm prattling so that folks can get the live notification, but if you're watching this on the recording, welcome to my work from home environment. I'm sure you've all settled into yours, perhaps too much. Maybe you're like me. We have an amazing demo today. I'm excited. I did finally remember to have a snack, and by that I mean shoving Triscuits in my face before we start here, because you're going to be so hungry by the end of it. We are here. This is in partnership with Kentucky Farm Share Coalition and the employee CSA voucher programs that they've got going. If you're interested in that, they'll direct you to the website to learn more. But today is Harvest Pizza Party. Harvest Pizza Party, really excited. It's a great way to heat up your house, make some delicious foods, and inspire yourselves for some lunchtime snacks. I've got two guests today from Farm Share Coalition and Bluegrass Farm to Table. So let me bring in Katie and Ashton. Hello.
Hi.
All right. Ms. Harris, how are you all today? How is your work from home environments?
We're great.
Yeah, doing the best we can.
So why don't you introduce yourselves? Katie with the Kentucky Farm Share Coalition. How is it going today, and what are you excited to share about this moment in our CSA journey for 2020?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Lillian. I am excited. The Kentucky Farm Share is wrapping up our CSA season with our partner farms. So we have 6 coalition member farms that we work with. We work with Bar Farms, Lazy 8 Stock Farm, Rootbound Farm, Elmwood Stock Farm, Sustainable Harvest Farm, and UK CSA, and they are all wrapping up their seasons in the next few weeks. And we've had a great season so far. We've worked with 15 different employers, and we've connected weekly CSA shares with those employees and delivered over 900 CSA shares across Kentucky. And so it's been fantastic. We have Ashton with us here today as the Bluegrass Farm to Table coordinator, as well as the program coordinator for the Workplace CSA program with the Lexington City government. So I just wanted her to quickly share kind of her perspective on the Workplace CSA program and let you all know that we are actively recruiting for next season. So if you are an employee and you want your workplace, your employer to bring CSA and get in touch with us, we'll drop some contact info into the chat. And we would love to connect you. So I'll let Ashton take it away.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ashton Potter-Wright. I'm Director of Local Food and Agricultural Development for the City of Lexington. And we started partnering with the Farm Share Coalition in 2017 to offer this workplace wellness program to our employees. So we started in 2017 with about 100 folks participating, and now we're up to about 150. And so overall feedback has been super, super positive. Folks are thrilled that they can pick up their CSA shares at City Hall, at the Government Center on their way home from work. Folks have loved the customization that each of the farms provide. So folks can really pick and choose what they want to see in their baskets every week. That's been super positive. And people have loved, our employees have loved the both in person, which we did pre-COVID, and these virtual cooking demonstrations to give them really great ideas about how to utilize the produce that's coming in their boxes every week. So overall, our employees are thrilled, our leadership is thrilled, and we're really happy to partner with these farms and the Farm Share Coalition.
Fantastic. So I want to ask you all, before we move over to our pizza party, what are your favorite pizza toppings?
Ooh.
I know.
I like mushrooms.
Yeah, I am a big fan of arugula on pizza.
Same. With capers, arugula, tomato situation. I love it.
Really good.
A dear friend of mine, Maddie Evans, runs Rise Up Pizza Truck here in town. He does some gorgeous pizzas. I think he's got one on the menu this week that has Brussels sprouts and blue cheese, which I am eagerly anticipating. He's at Rock House Brewing tonight. All right, so we're going to keep you all around. We're going to come back later and talk about looking forward into the future, next season, winter season, all those fun things. You all will be in the background. So encourage everyone to post your comments if you've got them about the CSA program. We can jump in and ask them. But otherwise, I'm going to bring in Chef T. Say hello and goodbye to Katie and Ashton. Hello and goodbye. All right, and let's bring in all the pieces.
All the pieces and parts. All right. Folks, this is going to go fast because I want to show you how to take all of that delectable, wonderful fall harvest stuff that you are getting in your boxes right now, depending on your customization, and make wonderful fall pizzas. I will be going fast. However, put comments in. Lily will field those. If you have comments or questions for Katie or for Ashton, they'll still be in the background. And that helps me because sometimes I get my head in my work. So we're going to get started on a pizza crust. And you can use your favorite pizza crust recipe. This is one that I really like that turns out well. I've got 2 cups of AP flour. That's Weisenberger flour right here. And I'm going to pour that in there with a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to leave that alone. I've got 3/4 cup of water, and I've made sure it's about 98 degrees. I heated it right before we started. And I'm going to dump in 1 package or about 1/4 ounce of instant yeast right there. Let that get happy for a minute. You can give it a stir if you want to. You just want it to activate and foam up. And I've got 3 tablespoons of olive oil right there. While that yeast is getting happy, I'm going to take a little bit more olive oil and brush this really large bowl. We don't want to rise or let our dough rise in the same bowl that we mix it in. We want this oiled surface. And so you want a really big bowl because your dough is going to double in size. Now, we are going to kind of do a little bit of magic of TV here today. Let me stir the sugar and the salt into the flour. And we're going to go right ahead. Even though this hasn't fully activated, I'm not going to wait 5 minutes for you. Go into the dough with that. And then and you're just kind of stirring it together. It will make a really loose, sticky dough. And I'm going to put in those 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, Weisenberger also has a wonderful pizza crust mix, and it is ready within, I think, 20 minutes. You just add water and it's ready to go. You can also purchase already made pizza crust or the kind that you do out of a box or out of the dairy section. All right, so we've got this nice, sticky, homogeneous dough. I'm going to put a little flour on a secondary cutting board so I don't get it all over the one I'm going to cut on in just a moment. We're going to knock that dough out there. You would normally knead it for a few minutes, but I'm just going to show you real quick. You kind of turn and pull back over, turn over and push. And you want to knead that just for about 7 minutes. Or until you start to feel the dough. You'll feel a difference in the dough. It'll start to kind of cling and be a little bit more elastic. I'm going to throw that in to this bowl, cover it, and throw it in a warm spot in the kitchen. Now, let's get that out of the way. Fortunately, we have some dough already prepared. I'm going to get all the dough off my hands, and we're going to start in on all this wonderful veg. I have prepared probably everything that you can anticipate in any of your boxes. And I want to show you how wonderful it is to use these fall veg, things that we may not be as excited about as, say, corn, tomatoes, and peppers in the height of the growing season. But this is actually one of my favorite places or parts of the season. So I've got these little candy onions right here. I've already peeled one off. I'm going to take the papery skin off this one. Now you might get full-sized onions. They're great storage onions. I think these are just perfect. Now, when you are going into fall harvest season, what is wonderful about that is that it's cold enough to do a lot of roasting. So we're going to do both methods. I have some roasted onions already, so I'm actually going to saute these up with some beautiful peppers. All of these are from Woodford County. So I'm just going to slice these little candy onions. If you have full-size onions, you may want to slice them the other way so that you get a julienne.
I know everyone thinks that the high season crops are the prettiest because of the red tomatoes and stuff, but I think cold weather, beautiful purples and greens. I think
purples and greens and oranges. I mean, look at this pepper. You got lovely
gorgeous.
purple. Of course, it will turn green when we cook it. For me, yeah, I think a lot of people think that when in winter and fall, your plate has to be brown, and that's not necessarily true. So these are some late season peppers that I'm just going to smash and cut into sticks. And I may only do that bit right there. That looks like enough. That looks like a nice little equivalent amount. I'm going to heat up a saute pan and throw those in just a moment. I'm going to get those off my board into a bowl because I want to show you some other veg. And really, I'm just sauteing that in a little olive oil with a sprinkle of salt on top. But we have two things to saute. Let me slow down. So I'm also going to saute. So these are some beautiful mustard greens, and I have some kale. I have made part of the kale into some kale chips. We're going to use those to finish and garnish our pizza. Katie said she loves arugula. You would toss that on when you pull your pizza out. So we're going to use those at the end. But some of the kale and the mustard, I'm going to saute up. We're going to use that on a different pizza. So for your greens, and I think I've shown you this before, you just strip it off the stem. Not that the stems are inedible, but they are a little tough. Stack up your leaves, roll them, and then just kind of cut. If you have really young, tender mustard and kale and chard and all that, you could actually tear it by hand if you wanted to. I'm going to saute that with just a wee bit of garlic. So I'm going to get both my pans going in just a moment here. While those are heating, we're about to go in on the onions and the peppers. While those are heating, I'm going to break down some of the squash and the root veg. And Katie said she loved mushrooms. I'm going to bring out what I've done before real quick to show you. So here is a pan I put together. We have those little candy onions, Brussels sprouts. So Maddie and I think along the same lines. And I have thick sliced mushrooms over here. Notice that everything on this pan is pretty much the same size, so it will cook at the same rate. And on this pan, all root veg that will cook at the same rate. We have white sweet potato here, some turnips here, and some kohlrabi here. Right now is the season for these huge storage kohlrabi. This is after I've cut this off of it, folks. Gigantic. They can get to the size of basketballs. But they don't get tough getting to this size. It takes a long time to grow these. That's why we're seeing these now.
I saw that in the kitchen when I was in there yesterday, and I had no clue. I was like, is this celery root? What is this thing? Because it did not look like kohlrabi, but I'm glad to know now. It was even more alien than kohlrabi normally is.
Well, yeah, because it's this huge, lumpy, bumpy thing. All right. So all of that, I just take the skin off of. So I'm going to show you with this turnip. I'm going to take the stem and the root off real quick. And now don't be shy of some of these like different flavors. I'm just going to peel that. Actually, I'm going to throw those peppers and onions on real quick. Oh, yeah, listen to that sizzle.
I know people get to be kind of pizza orthodoxy, and I can be a rather orthodox pizza eater. You know, it's like, I got to have tomato sauce and some cheese on it.
Cheese,
if I open my mind a bit to think of it as a delicious flatbread, then the horizon of possibility extends far away, right? So we could just, you know, delicious flatbread pizza-esque. And then the world is your oyster pizza. It works.
And then, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of places. Oh, that's just about done. There are a lot of places that have all kinds of, like Maddie, pearls, crust. In Louisville, I think I don't know if they're still there, but I had some really good pizza at Cole. Different kinds of
Pizza Lupo, have you been there? Oh, amazing. Pizza Lupo in Louisville?
Pizza Lupo. Different kinds of things. So yeah, get outside of your comfort box of just tomato sauce and mozzarella. So this is a medium-sized bowl. I'm going to toss that turnip in there. I did the same thing with the kohlrabi, with the sweet potatoes, and just a wee bit of oil. and I keep moving it on myself. Just a little bit of just enough. You're wanting to coat, not drown. Toss it around. A little bit of salt. Throw that on the sheet pan, roast at 400. Small slices like this, you might want to check at about 7-8 minutes. Bigger, thicker things might take like 10 to 15. Now, I use the parchment on there so we have less cleanup, because when you're roasting, it gets all caramelized and you don't want that necessarily all over your pan and have to clean it up. So I'm going to throw these. Here's the kale and the mustard greens. I'm just throwing them in by the handfuls. And I'll give you a quick peek right there. Just in a really large saute pan, but I'm piling it up because this will cook way down, right? You can use a ton of kale for a tiny amount. And I'm just going to do a little garlic and a little salt on that. Now,
T, Eileen's got a question for you. What proteins would you add with these flavors? Perhaps lamb?
Flavors. Lamb would be excellent. Some ground lamb or some pulled lamb would be wonderful, Eileen. Speaking of. Also, our neighbor over in Taylorsville, Stonehenge Farms, has this wonderful Italian sausage that we cooked up and sliced. Pork products would work very well. Go really exotic if you want to. I would love some duck confit with some of these flavors. But like pork, I don't, you know me. I would love some duck confit with those flavors.
Sounds decadent.
It's very decadent. But white beans, even like you're going to see me use a root mash and a bechamel for my sauce. So don't shy away from different things and putting the flavors together that you really like already. All right, so we've got a saute, turning all that off. For squash, now these are delicatas. You will probably see little butternuts. I've got one uncooked here. You might see kabocha, which are really hard. Anything like a butternut or a kabocha, you'll want to pre-cook a little bit. It's just easier than trying to peel it when it's raw. I've got a piece right here. And all you have to do is, I typically like to separate the neck from the bowl and peel it and then slice it up like this. So I've got that. I've also par-cooked this delicata. All I did was cut it in half and then scoop out the seeds and put it in the oven with a little oil and salt on it. And it was done in about 15 minutes, done enough to slice in about 15 minutes. When you have bowls, they get done faster than a solid piece. So you may want to take your bowl, like if you cut your butternuts in half, take your bowls off and out of the oven before you do the solid piece. And I'm going to slice this into little rainbows. You can see this is fairly well cooked. This has really thin skin, so it's easy to, it's probably enough. So it's easy to slice and you can eat the skin, and I just leave it all together. It's so pretty with the little scalloped edges. Now for the pizzas themselves. All right, so this is one that I par-cooked just a little bit because we're not doing a sauce on it. We're just doing olive oil. So I'm going to brush with olive oil. And actually, sometimes these are my favorite pizzas when you don't have a ton of sauce and you can really taste the pizza dough and all of the toppings that are on it. Okay, on this, we're going to put the Brussels sprouts and the red onion. I have 5 different spatulas. So actually, I'm just probably going to do this with my hands. We're going to take the Brussels sprouts and sprinkle them around. Those I just quartered and roasted. I didn't get them super dark. I like Brussels sprouts really dark, but it's going to cook a little bit more, right? And then I'm going to put on the red onion. This is a combination I love to do. Brussels sprouts, red onion. Here are Katie's mushrooms. Let's get that on there. However much or as little as you would like. Let's just do that whole thing there. And I'm actually going to add the sweet potatoes to this one. Little sweetness with some of the earthiness and the bitterness and the unctuousness of those red onions. And then you're saying, well, where's my mozzarella? We're not going to do mozzarella on that. We're going to do a little bit of ricotta. We've mixed that with a little lemon zest and lots of crushed black pepper. We're just going to do little dollops on that. I know Lily loves some ricotta on a flatbread or a pizza.
It's really true. It's so creamy. It's that yumminess.
So creamy. And you just, like the kids, it would be perfect for your children to help with this because they could use their little fingers and do the little dollops on top. Now I'm going to toss that in. You could put some parm on top if you want, if you must, but I'm going to put this in as it is. The next one is going to be a little bit different. This is, I call it root mash, and basically it's every kind of root vegetable. You make it just like mashed potatoes. Cook it down till it gets really soft and pulls apart. I think there's rutabaga. I think there is celery root in here, sweet potato, maybe some pumpkin, also in addition to the roots. And then you just add salt, milk, butter, pepper, just like you would mashed potatoes. I'm going to spread that around. This is another good job if you're cooking with the family. For the younger members, they can spread this around. Not quite all the way to the edge, but pretty close. I like a lot of crust. I don't know about other people, but I like the crust as much as I do the toppings. So I like.
Dee, we've got a question here. What are your favorite non-cheese options for toppings? And so I think we're seeing that like just a lot of different vegetables and flavors could do great. I would offer crushed nuts are really wonderful. They give some of that fattiness.
Some of that unctuousness.
Yeah, pine
also,
nuts, even peanuts.
I would also do a little splash of olive oil at the end. Just for if you need more of that, a really good, like a finishing olive oil, one you wouldn't cook with. And for creaminess, I mean, you can even go so weird as to when you pull the pizza out, depending on what's on it, of course, avocado, you know, I mean, if you want some kind of squishy, fatty unctuousness and you don't want to use cheese, that might be a way to go as well. And also like a really nice bean puree.
I was thinking bean puree.
The big one on bean puree. All right, so on the root mash, I'm going to do the peppers and the onions that I sauteed. And there go my spatulas run away from me, folks. I swear they do. All right, so we're just gonna, this is still a little hot, so I'm using the spatula on it. But look at all that color already. The purple, the orange, the green. And then kohlrabi for a little bit more light green. And kohlrabi, if you want, we have a whole demo on kohlrabi. And it has a flavor kind of like broccoli stem, which is my favorite part of the broccoli. Not necessarily the floret. So kohlrabi on there. And we're going to do a little bit of Kenny Mattingly's Farmhouse Gouda. This is not a smoked Gouda. This is a regular Gouda. He has an Asiago as well. That would be nice. And I don't like to kill it with the cheese. I mean, sometimes Lily and I say you can't have enough cheese, but on pizza, I really don't like to drown it with cheese. And then I'm going to do a little smoked paprika because I love that smokiness with Gouda and I love that smokiness with sweet root veg like this. So that one's going to go in. Now I'm going to press out this last one. Hasn't been an hour, of course. Probably won't get the same rise on it we should. I'm going to do a little olive oil on my pan. roll that out. I'm going to oil my hands so I can press this. Now, if you want to toss your pizza and do the little knuckle stretching, all that, I usually end up with a hole in mine when I try to do that. Just not experienced enough. That's a very specialist kind of skill. And unless I think you've worked for a pizza place, you don't have it. So I just press right in the middle. I don't roll it out, don't need a rolling pin, just press onto the pan. And we're going to leave that there. That one's going to be a little thicker. Okay, on this, I just have a bechamel. And a bechamel is basically a white sauce. If you know how to make breakfast gravy, you know how to make bechamel, basically. It's a roux, which is fat and flour, and milk. And then you can flavor it a little bit. I used a little bit of onion and bay leaf and clove. That's very traditional. And this is great for the flavors of fall. It has that little bit of clove in it. It doesn't taste like clove, so you don't have to be scared of that. It's just a wonderful flavored sauce. And again, we're going to go to the edge, but not over it. This is a great sauce for fall lasagna. If you want to use these different veg in lasagna, a bechamel is great for that. I prefer that to a tomato sauce with sweeter flavors like this. So I'm putting on the butternut squash. This has been roasted, has a little salt on it already. I'm going to put on some of these beautiful scallopy there we go. Well, we'll do this. And then we have that gorgeous contrasting kale and mustard greens. Just sort of arrange them. I'm in a hurry because I don't want to keep you from your lunch. And that's where I'm going to put this pre-cooked sausage. Sausage and kale and sausage and squash go together so well. It's like pork was made for the flavors of fall because of its sweetness, its inherent sweetness. So we're going to put that around, and we can put a little bit of that Gouda on here just to kind of pull everything together. I think I left out my turnips. I meant to put that on the root mash, but we'll add them on some other pizza. All right, so we're going to throw that in. Okay, as we do that, I am bringing out, and I can bring these out one by one. Here is that gorgeous Brussels sprout, sweet potato, ricotta, mushroom, red onion mixture. Everything is nice and caramelized. The ricotta has gotten nice and soft. I'm going to cut this up. You can, like I said, and actually I think I will because it's looking a little dry, just drizzle on a little olive oil at the end. If you have some herbs growing outside your place, maybe a little rosemary would be nice, a little thyme. And this is kind of squarish, so I'm just going to cut like this. And throw that on here. I'm going to get all my toppings. All right, and I can pull that out of the way, and we'll go to the next one. Which is the root mash with the kohlrabi. You should have the turnips, red onion, green and red and yellow bell pepper, and some of that Gouda on top. We'll do the same thing here. I don't know that we'll get maybe sort of your traditional pizza slice. And we'll set that out of the way, and we'll pull that last pizza out of the oven. in just a moment. It needs another couple minutes. For the dough to fully cook. But as soon as we do that, we can show you what the final plate looks like. This is one great way to introduce these vegetables to your family, to pull in vegetables you think you may not like. That root veg is great. So if you don't know if you like turnips or rutabagas or celery roots, then you put it in with something you do like. Turnips are great in regular mashed potatoes. Like I said, you could use all this for lasagna. Add these things to soups, to stews, to pastas, and things that you're already comfortable with, and introduce them to your palate in a very gentle, welcoming way. And if there are any further questions, or if you guys have further comments, while we wait for this third one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Tanya, I'm just going to ask, is your mic cooked to the iPad? Can I take the iPad out?
It's hooked to the iPad, yes.
Got it. So we'll keep that on. I'll bring in Katie and Ashton to say, have you put squash on a pizza before?
I have not winter squash, fall squash, but I'm excited to try it because I have little kids at home, and I think your suggestion about getting them involved and letting them spread it out and sneak those veggies in is a great suggestion.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. I did like a grilled summer squash and like potato pizza, and but I'm full of inspiration for for fall pizzas. I really like the bechamel sauce too with the squash and the squash mash. There's a couple ways folks can use winter squash on their pizzas, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a question, one last question of if someone's using a pre-made pizza crust, either Pillsbury or maybe they're getting the ones from the Trader Joe's section, or how do they make, it's a way to make it taste more homemade. I was thinking maybe a brush of olive oil on it, some fresh herbs.
Olive oil. Yeah, like think of it like a focaccia. So brush of olive oil, sprinkle of some fresh herbs or even dried herbs. You kind of mix some dried herbs into, maybe even use pesto as your base. That would be a nice way to add a lot of big bursts of flavor to kind of cover that up. And that would be wonderful with a lot of these vegetables. Otherwise, yeah, a lot of olive oil will help. It'll crisp it up. It'll give it richness and unctuousness. But now we've used the Trader Joe's actually in here. They're not bad. And yeah, the Pillsbury or the little, we used to get the Chef Boyardee boxes. I don't even know if they exist anymore. Something like that. Yeah, I think just, and you got to really have really good toppings if your crust is a little subpar.
But we do have that option of the Weisenberger mix that comes together in just 20 minutes. So a super quick option if you're not doing the whole thing.
Beautiful. And it does a great job. The Weisenberger mix does.
Awesome. Well, Chef T, thank you. Please set a few slices aside for me for tomorrow.
Will do.
We'll have a couple more questions to Katie and Ashton. So as we head into the close of this season, looking to the winter season and the spring, what are your takeaways or recommendations for how people can continue or prepare for future local food eating?
Yeah, and I can field that question first. So the main season of CSA is winding down, but fall winter CSA is an option for folks. Some of our partner farms offer fall winter CSAs. So I will drop a link to our website in the chat so you can check out the partner farms and explore what options they have, as well as the Organic Association Kentucky has a Find a Farm directory. So you can use that to find farms in your area and connect with them, see if you can order from them online or go to just go to their farm. So I will drop both of those links in the chat. And I know Ashton has some other thoughts and ideas for you too.
Yeah, so in addition to CS Fall and Winter CSA shares, many farmers markets across the state are open year-round. Many folks don't know that. So our Lexington Farmers Market here in Lexington is open Saturdays year-round, rain or shine, snow or sleet. So check them out there. Again, Katie mentioned online. Many of our growers have online ways to purchase their products, and many offer home delivery, which is an option year round. You can also support local growers by patronizing restaurants in the area who routinely source from Kentucky producers. That's a great way to do that. And then retailers that are open year round, like our friends at Good Foods Co-op, have a very wide selection of not only local produce year round, but local proteins and dairy as well. So check those options out to keep you eating Kentucky Farm products year round.
Perfect. And we've had some requests for the recipes. I will give it Tanya. We'll get all the bits and pieces and some of the recommendations, but it's a great way to come back to all of our Facebook pages. Keep posted. And I can see that we've got a perfect plate queued up here. So thank you, Ashley and Katie. We will see you next same food time. No, we'll see you the next time. I was going to try and make a Batman joke. It didn't work. Unfortunately. So thank you both so much. I hope you enjoy your lunches now. And I'm going to just bring that. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. I'm sorry, y'all. I know this is like torture. Okay, but come by, and I'll set a slice outside the door.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, T. Thank you, team. And get out there and do some delicious fall eating. We'll see you all next time.